Good morning, Northwest Unitarian University. It is important that you showed up this morning. Gathering together in community is an act of rebellion against isolation and hopelessness. And what do we say?
We are rebels for hope.
Yes, we are. Here together in this collective church community, may we take a moment to take a breath in as we settle into this sacred space. And if you will join me in body and or spirit by rising and singing our opening hymn, number 1067, Mother Earth, Beloved Garden. Please be seated. Y'all, are you feeling witchy today? Yes, let's cackle about it. I hope we're all feeling a little distinctly pagan today because this is our service on the wheel of the year. So in addition to lighting our chalice, I would like one of our resident pagan hosts, Steve, to come up and help us call the corners.
Good morning, all. My name is Steve Curtin. You might not know this, I'm actually also a pagan minister in training with an organization called Circle Sanctuary in Madison, Wisconsin, which is where I will be next week for Samhain. So Unitarian Universalism is a faith that is spiritually alive, centered, and radically inclusive. And we begin each service by kindling a flaming chalice. Those who came before us lit this flame as a beacon of welcome to those in need of a place of sanctuary and belonging. And we strive to continue that legacy here today. So as part of our more pagan-y opening, and this isn't actually on the order of service, because in typical pagan fashion, I introduced this at the last moment. Please open your gray hymnals to responsive reading number 446. And we are going to face each of the directions as we recite these.
Feel free to do that how it feels good in your body. If you want to stand in place, if you want to sit in place, whatever you want.
You can even sometimes put your hand to the direction, whatever works for you. Spirit of the East.
Spirit of air.
Spirit of air, of morning and springtime. Be with us as the sun rises in times of beginning, times of planting. Inspire us with the fresh breath of courage as we go forth into new adventures. Hail and welcome. Spirit of the East, Spirit of fire, of noontime and summer, be with us through the heat of the day and help us to be ever growing. Warm us with strength and energy for the work that awaits us. Hail and welcome. Spirit of the West, Spirit of water, of evening and autumn, be with us as the sun sets and help us to enjoy a rich harvest. Flow through us with a cooling, healing quietness and bring us peace. Hail and welcome. And Spirit of the North, Spirit of earth, of nighttime and winter, be with us in the darkness at the time of gestation. Ground us in the wisdom of the changing seasons as we celebrate the spiraling journey of our lives.
Blessed be.
And you can find ways our community works for love and justice on the back of your order of service. And a few highlights are, starting in November with the November 2nd service, all joint services will temporarily be moved to Northwest due to ongoing building issues at U Detroit.
So next week, where are we going to be?
Here.
And the week after, for the foreseeable future.
Here.
Yes. All the joint services. And if you need assistance in logging onto the website for the service auction so you can register, attend, donate, bid, etc., see Sherry Smith after service today. And Reverend Julie will be teaching an earth-based spirituality class based on the Pagan Wheel of the Year. First class and ritual will take place on August 31st. Registration forms can be found in your newsletter. Did I say November 30th? I said August, didn't I? Yep. Can you tell I don't do this very often? And are you new to UU? Would you like to know more about the congregation? Come to a Getting to Know UU class on November 2nd after service at Northwest. Lunch and childcare are provided, and more details can be found in the back of your order of service.
Steve, that's great stuff to know, but the most important thing to know is that no matter who you are,
What you believe or who you love,
where you're from, or what identities you hold,
with all your joys and gifts,
with all of your pain and your history,
you are welcome and wanted here.
come,
Let us worship together.
We will now enter a time of respite outside of the demands of daily life. I encourage you to center yourself with the power of music. We will come out singing.
May we all now embrace childlike wonder with a chant for all ages.
On. The answer was yes. It might be a little loud. How's this doing? How's this doing? He wasn't like, it was tuned for other people, not me. So, it might still just be a little bit loud because I'm tamping it. Thank you, Jackson. I like to yell. We're going to have a chant for all ages. We usually have a story for all ages, but this time we're going to have a chant for all ages. How exciting. But first, can I have the kids come up? Anybody that wants to come up and participate? We have noisemakers. And I also need 4 volunteers to come bring me the posters, maybe 3 volunteers to come bring me the posters off the walls. Can somebody get earth, fire, and water? What we're going to do. All right, so kids, come on up here. Any kids that want to come up here? Do any of you have a joy or a sorrow to share with the congregation? Can you say it in here? I don't have a cordless mic, sorry.
My joy is that I got a new mini backpack.
Backpack? You got a new backpack?
But it was little.
It was little? A doll backpack?
No, it's not.
Okay.
And it wasn't a doll that came
But like
with
it was a backpack and you're excited about it. Thank you, JoJo. Do you have a joy or a sorrow you'd like to share? Can you talk in here?
I have a joy. After church, my friend's coming over.
Your friend is coming over. How amazing. Community building is great. Do you have a joy or a sorrow? Maple, can you turn around?
My joy is that my friend Maggie gave me my outfit that I'm wearing today.
Your friend. Oh. That was really nice of Maggie. Are you an angel or a fairy? You're an angel. Amazing. We've got pumpkin dresses going on. That's really amazing. Okay. So, does anybody know what a chant is? Yes? You want to tell me? You are so smart. I think the exact quote was, when you repetitively say something in a type of rhythm. That's pretty good, right? Yeah. Yeah. And the reason that we would sometimes chant rather than singing is beautiful, it's artistic, it releases something in you. And chanting is more of a grounding experience. You say the same thing over and over and over again because it gets meditative. And you just keep going until you're done. So we're going to do a chant here today, and we're going to do a classic chant. The air, the water, and the fire. Return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water. Okay, the earth, the air, the fire, the water. Return, 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 return. Well, that's a good start. So we're going to give you props to help you. So who wants to be earth? The earth? Okay, grab the earth sign and come stand right here. And who wants to be the air? You want to be the air? Okay, grab the air sign. And who wants to be fire? Want to be fire? Okay, great. And we need water. Who wants to be water? Does anybody want to be water? You want to be water? All right. So the chant is, can you stand on the end over there? Elliot, can you go stand by Maple? Thank you. All right, ready? So it goes like this. The earth, the air, the fire, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. Okay, so that's hard to remember what order they, right? So I think that you all have to help us out. So when we say the earth, I need you to hold up the earth. And when we say the water, Jojo, I need you to hold up the water. Or sorry, the air. It's right there. Yeah. When Elliot holds up water, sing water, okay? Maple does fire, we do fire. So let's try that. Ready? The earth, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. Amazing. Not quite there yet. Alex is helping and Steve is. I think we might need a little. What do you think? Who wants a noisemaker? Does anybody want a noisemaker? All right, Jim, Khalid, pass these around. Here, Linda, you're in charge. Give them out. Make sure everybody that wants one gets a noisemaker. And I think all of you have brought your own noisemakers here today. All right. So we're going to try it, and we're going to go slow at first, and we're going to go faster and faster. You can keep up with us, okay? Ready? The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. One more. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. Yeah. And if we would take pagan festival, we probably would have been doing that around a fire. Thank you for helping us bring the energy, kids. And if I could collect those, we are going to light a chalice. Jim, do you want to do the carry the flame? Oh, Steve's got it. We're going to send you out to your classes.
Jim can kindle a second flame from the lighted chalice because he's got a lot more practice than I do.
Elliot, do you want to grab it from Jim? No. Okay, go ahead. And we're going to sing the kids out to their classes with words that will be up on the screen in just a second. We got Steve running, so I can do the offertory, right? I can figure it out. Each month, we share our plate with a community partner. And this month, that partner is Warriors on Wheels. Warriors on Wheels of Metropolitan Detroit is a grassroots nonprofit advocacy organization for people with disabilities, by people with disabilities. Its mission is to advocate, connect, and empower in raising consciousness to combat discrimination against people with disabilities by creating systemic change. All undesignated donations will be split between Warriors on Wheels and our congregation. A link to give virtually is posted in the Zoom chat. And there is a QR code on the back of your order of service. No matter what you contribute to the church, be it funds or time or simply the generous presence of your spirit, please know that we are so grateful for your gifts. Let us step into gratitude together. Jake has an alternative. We have ritual objects in our usual baskets. It's a hazard of church.
So there's a famous Druid priest named Isaac Bonowitz who wrote a book called Neo-Pagan Rites, in which he makes the point that all ritual, all ceremony, even like this, is an alternating different states of being. And this is a more quiet state of being. This is actually a grounding and reflection we use in our own ceremonies that I thought I'd share with you. So, So begin this grounding meditation by connecting yourself to the earth. Just feel your feet as roots going down, down, down as far as they will go. Take a deep breath, hold it, let it go. Do this again. Let it go this time with a gusty sigh. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice how your weight is distributed on them. Left and right, heel and ball, insides, outsides. What does the ground feel like beneath you? Notice your breath. Imagine sending your breath down through your body, down your legs, out through your feet like roots growing into the earth. And through the moist, warm topsoil with the worms and other critters, down through the bones of our ancestors, down through the bedrock, down, round, down through watery underground rivers and lakes, spreading out wide as they go. like the roots of a tree. These tendrils keep seeking down to the earth, to the heart of the earth. And notice that they intermingle loosely with the roots of all the others in your circle. You are woven together in the earth, one sacred grove of priests and priestesses united in the Mother. And eventually, your roots begin to feel the warmth at the heart of the earth, the fiery core of our Earth Mama. You are grounding deep into the earth. So let your roots take up residence in a wide circle, touching this heat, letting it warm them. Let the tips of your roots open, opening the channel between you and the earth. And now send down with your breath anything you want to release, to let go of, to transform. Send it down into the fiery cauldron of the goddess, and she will transform it to you. It's what she does. Give it to her and be free. And now notice the immense pressure at the core of the earth. That pressure will send the earth energy up to you. When you allow your rootlets to open to it, do so now. And let this earth energy flow in through your rootlets effortlessly, and let it move up, up, up through the reaches of your root system, moving up through the underground waters, up through the bedrock, up past the bones of our ancestors, up through the rich topsoil, and right up into the soles of our feet. This fiery energy keeps rising, and you do nothing but be here and be open to it. So it rises on its own up through your legs, filling with energy, up through your torso, up through your center, filling it up, filling your entire center, your short shoulders. And this heat relaxes and energizes as it fills your muscles. Flows down to the arms, into your hands, and right through to your fingertips, and it flows up to the neck, filling your entire head with a brilliant energy, and your grounding. So keep your practice breathing, feel your energy rising, and it keeps filling you up and up and up, more and more. Your energy field around your body is suffused with this power, and it keeps increasing until you feel full like a big stretch balloon with this intense expansion of energy. And now let it fly out through the top of your head, high into the sky, where it touches the stars, mingles with their light, spreading out like leafy branches into the sky. So now please join us in singing our next hymn, 73. Chant for the seasons in whatever way you are comfortable.
chanting and the turn of the seasons and drumming. The wheel of the year must be upon us. Do we know what the wheel of the year is? It's pretty common knowledge at this point, right? Are people familiar with when I say the wheel of the year, are people basically familiar with what I'm talking about? If you're not, the wheel of the year is a set of holidays commonly celebrated by folks who are celebrating Wicca or other Celtic pagan origin religions. And there are these 8 holidays in the wheel of the year. So like most religions have a calendar of holidays. My house has our holidays that we celebrate in UU churches, and then our Christian holidays, and my husband's Jewish holidays, and we also have the pagan holidays, so we're always feasting about something. So there are in the pagan holidays, there are these 8 basic holidays, and some of them are solar, right? They celebrate the eclipses and the equinoxes. They have, not the eclipses, the solstices and the equinoxes. So there are some solar holidays. And then there are some sort of in-between holidays that came from Celtic fire festivals. So about every 6 weeks out of the year, pagan folks get together and celebrate a holiday. It's a really nice rhythm. It's not like Christmas and Easter and then we don't have a holiday for a while. It's a really nice rhythm for about every 6 weeks, because nature is a rhythm, and the pagan holidays celebrate the turning of the earth and nature. But it wasn't always so simple. It wasn't a simple road to get there to widely agree on 8 holidays that were going to happen. And in fact, it's still not really agreed upon, but we'll talk about that later. And so I wanted to take you with me on a journey for how we created this wheel of the year, how we came about to agree on these 8 holidays. But before I do, I want to say that this sermon is wildly inadequate for discussing an entire variety of religions, right? So we have at most 20 minutes. And if you're really, really interested to figure out what came of specifically UK and Great Britain and Ireland Celtic paganism, please read the works of Robert Hutton. He explains it better than I can, and you can take your time with his monstrous books that he writes. But he is a really great researcher, and I cannot do this sermon justice in 20 minutes. So what I will do is pick a place to start, and the place I would like to start is with a man named Edward Williams. Edward Williams was born in the mid-1700s in England, and Edward Williams fashioned himself a bard. He thought that he was a storyteller. He, in fact, gave himself a bardic name, Iolo Morganwg. I just wanted to say Iolo Morganwg. And this is what he called himself in the world. And he was Welsh. He said, I am going to find evidence of Druidic tradition. Because the Druids were the people in Great Britain that had held religious life in Celtic times before the Norman invasion, right? But the Druids were famous for not writing things down and being really secretive. In D&D and other games like that, now there are secret Druid religion or languages, because they actually did have secret languages that they would speak to themselves in, and they would be very careful about who they passed the folklore down to. So we don't have a lot of written knowledge of what actually happened in those pre-Christian Celtic rituals. And so Williams was like, I'm going to figure it out by reading every piece of pre-Christian literature and folklore that I can get my hands on. And somewhere in those tales, I will find evidence of the Druidic working. Somewhere in those tales, I will come upon cultural things that will give me clues as to what the Druids were doing in those pre-Christian Celtic times. And so he read everything he could find. He became a minor archaeologist going into the deep, dark places of folklore. And you know what he found? Nothing. He found nothing. He found no evidence of the specific Druidic rituals in pre-Christian times. And so he was like, no matter, I'll make it up. And he did. He wrote his own Druidic rituals into his own fairy tales that then he pretended to find in his excavations. And what's interesting is, he was making these things up, but he wasn't making them up out of nowhere. He said that the Druids were really, really interested in the placement of the sun and celebrating on solar rituals. He said they cared about solstices, they cared about equinoxes, and there is archaeological evidence to support this. Look at Stonehenge. Look at Stonehenge. You can tell that that was built so that the summer solstice would shine directly lined up with the monument. And it's not just Stonehenge. It's not just Stonehenge. There are monuments in Neolithic Ireland and Scotland and England that have all kinds of corpses with flood. Is this going in and out? Jackson, I'm going to try the handheld. Is this better? Can you hear me? Yep. All right. So there were all kinds of correspondences with equinoxes and other solstices and other lunar and solar events that are archaeologically based. And we are beginning to find that there was something to the folklore that he made up that we are finding now ancient traditions of oral tradition that were corresponding with some of the folklore he made up. He might not have been coming from nowhere, but he was definitely not finding things written by people in the pre-Christian era. But no matter, he wrote down these 4 festivals. The eclipse, why do I keep saying the eclipses? The equinoxes and the solstices. And he said, this is what the Druids celebrated, and this is what they were called, and this is how they were celebrated. And he's become this really controversial figure in pagan circles because some people are like, that's a bunch of hooey, you made that up. And some people are like, yeah, but he was making it up in context and we can't really know. So what's wrong with it? I mean, sure, he should have told us he was making it up, but you know, the stories are good, the rituals are good, what's wrong with it? Plus, he was doing so much opium that like God had to be in there somewhere talking to him, right? So he's this guy, this controversial figure. And a thing that he really did help, though, oh, and by the way, I found this out yesterday when I was researching. The guy was a Unitarian. Because of course he was. And the way that I know this is because in 1801, the Welsh Unitarian Association was coming into being. And they had some skepticism about the guy that penned their first rules of procedure because he called himself a bard and made all kinds of, and he had the same name. Anyway, it was definitely the same guy. And I'm like, yep, that's us. Like going off in the woods and being weird about stuff and then really, really caring about bylaws. That is absolutely a Unitarian. But one of the things that he did do was he kicked off this movement of looking in folklore for stories that gave us cultural contexts to traditions that were not written down. And suddenly, everybody was doing it. Y'all heard of the Grimm brothers? Jacob Grimm was really into figuring out what ancient people were doing based on the stories that were passed down folklorically. And one of the things Jacob Grimm noticed was that across all of, and they were really looking at mostly Germanic stories, but those Germanic stories had context and connection to other kind of folklore stories everywhere in the world, right? And what he noticed was that there was a connection between the time of year that things were happening and the type of stories that were told happening in that time of year across all cultures. So like at this time of year, the stories got spooky. And in midsummer, there were all kinds of fairies, right? And he made sense. He's like, oh, these stories are deeply tied to the turning of the earth and what is going on right now, what is going on in what's going on in the culture of these places that told these stories is tied to what's going on in the earth and her cycles. And so then there was all kinds of excavation and experimentation and trying to figure out the linking of these folklore stories and rituals. And people went wild, y'all. People went wild. All these folklorists started coming up with, oh, wait a minute, they lit a candle there, and that must have been part of a ritual that they were doing in a thing, and like the oven in Hansel and Gretel is like the same thing as a sauna, which means it's a representation of hell, and so there's a horned being, and they went wild with speculation about what these stories meant, and they convinced themselves that there was a continuing druidic witchy order living underground, practicing to this day, that there had been a through line from ancient Celtic times, but they couldn't practice because it was still illegal to practice witchcraft in Britain, specifically in Europe. And we weren't that far out from the witch trials, right? But they were convinced, and so people started looking for this underground Celtic pagan witchy community. Fast forward, there was this woman named Margaret Murray. And Margaret Murray was an Egyptologist. She studied ancient Egypt. She was the first woman to ever unwrap a mummy. Not sure we should have been unwrapping mummies, but she did. First woman to ever unwrap a mummy. And she saw how fascinated people were with this ancient culture. She saw how much people longed to be tied to something of the past. And she was like, well, this is great, but this isn't mine. I'm not Egyptian. I'm British. What could be mine? What were my people doing at the time that the Egyptians were wrapping mummies? And so she studied all of the work of Grimm and Williams and all of the other folklorists. And she came up with a theory that there was still this continuing witch cult that had been in the United States and Europe since time immemorial, and that it was proven by the witch trials. And the witch trials were the last attempt of Christianity to stomp out this continuous Wiccan culture, not Wiccan, there was no Wicca yet, but like witch culture. And man, did she get that one wrong. Thank you, Bob. She got that one wrong. In fact, one of my favorite quotes in talking about her work was, the problem with Murray is that she has no historical grounding in European history and context, and she likes to wildly speculate based on the flimsiest of details. So she started speculating on all of these things. But here's the thing that's interesting. In the midst of all of that, she actually got a bunch of stuff right. She actually got a bunch of stuff right in all of her speculations. So she wasn't right that like the witch trials were a product of actual witches. That was, patriarchy and oppressive Christianity for sure. But she was right but she speculated also that the witches were still gathering. That they were gathering on these different holidays that came at these from these Celtic fire holidays, right? And these Celtic fire holidays were really in tune with the living and the dying of the year. So one of the Celtic fire holidays happened right before the first planting, and one of the Celtic fire holidays happened right after the last harvest. And these were when all the witches would gather together. And she wrote down all of these holidays. She put it in her book. And it turns out it's not where the witches were gathering, but there was historical context from this folklore that people would get together and gather around harvest and holiday times. And there are still traces of some of these in our culture today. In fact, right now, I would say that we have more than just traces. Right around the spooky time of the year, she would call it, Murray called it, she called it November Eve, October 31st. People speculated that the wheel of the year, that the veil between the worlds was thin, and that our ancestors were going to be more present. And so people would put on costumes like ghosts, and skeletons, and dress up like people that had passed and leave treats out for them. Does this sound like something we do on October 31st still? So she wrote all this stuff down, and she was like, so there are these 4 fire holidays, right? And Williams had written about these 4 solar holidays, and people were just speculating. But then this guy, Gardner, comes along, Gerald Gardner, and he is the founder of what we like to call today Wicca. And Gerald Gardner was in hot pursuit to find one of these witch cults that had existed and to recreate all of the ceremonies that had happened and to get them right and accurate to ancient times. So Gardner made himself an amateur historian, he made himself an amateur archaeologist, he made himself an amateur anthropologist, key amateur right there, and he started hanging out with this group of people. He started hanging out with this group of people who said that they had been a surviving witch cult from pre-Christian pagan eras. And he's like, this is amazing. I am going to write down everything they said, and I am going to be the person that finally writes down what the Druids were practicing. And then something happened, y'all. It was a good thing, but it was wild when it happened, when Gardner was really practicing. England repealed the laws against witchcraft. In 1951, England repealed the laws against witchcraft, and suddenly people were able to practice their pagan religions out in the open. And so in 1954, Gerald Gardner published a book of ritual. And he was like, this is exactly what our Celtic pagan ancestors were doing. I've got it all. I can tell you how to set up the altar. I can tell you which way to face when you're talking to which god. I can tell you everything exactly that they were doing from the times of pre-Christian paganism. The thing was that he mostly just wrote down what Williams and Murray had put. He created these 8 festivals in the calendar year. He wrote down the fire festivals that Murray had talked about, and then he wrote down the solar festivals that Williams had talked about. And he was like, no, this is organic from this group of people. But then he made another mistake, and he really, really heavily copied from this guy, Aleister Crowley, who, man, y'all, Aleister Crowley, he was a wild human being, and I don't have time to get into Aleister Crowley in this sermon, but he was one of the first people to really write down things about magic and ritual at the turn of the 20th century. And Gardner copied him so heavily that it was really, really clear that he wasn't getting this stuff from his group of people. And they all went in on it together, right? But it was really, really clear that this Wheel of the Year was kind of something that they were making up together based on a bunch of different sources, all of which had varying levels of accuracy in making it up. But what he came up with was kind of a cool holiday schedule, right? Kind of a cool holiday schedule that it invited us. It invited us to be in tune with nature. It invited us into a spirituality that was outside of the context of Christianity, which many people at that time didn't have access to. He invited us into ritual, and not just an intellectual, but an emotional connection with the divine. He named the divine as something other than a patriarchal oppressive God, right? It was kind of cool. But he was so sure that he needed to say that and I bet he believed that everything he was writing down came directly from these pre-Christian rituals. So then it goes to the US. It goes to the US, and this guy Nichols picks it up. And he takes the liturgy and he's like, I want to have pagan names for everything. I don't want to call it spring equinox. We're going to call it Mabon, because I found that in a book of poetry I liked. And he just named that he was making it up. Like he just named, he was like, I found this in a book of poetry. I named this, but I think that we should have something other than spring equinox. This is a religion and this is a tradition and it's living in and of itself. And then this guy came along. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Cunningham. They all start with a C. This guy came along in the 1980s, Cunningham, and he was like, okay, Wicca, because Gardner, right, he created Wicca. That was what he created when he published his 8 holidays work, his Wheel of the Year. And this guy came along and he was like, look, he wrote this book called Practice for the Solitary Practitioner, or Magic for the Solitary Practitioner. I don't remember what the first word was, but it was for the solitary practitioner. And his whole thing was like, you don't have to find a coven. You don't have to like set up an altar the exact way that Gardner says you do. The important thing is that you connect to nature. So I'm going to publish some really simplified rituals that we can do on our own. And the point was to tell people they could do it on their own, but what it ended up doing was de-emphasizing the ritual-specific part and emphasizing the spiritual connection to the earth and our ancestors part. And when I was growing up learning about this stuff in the 90s, everybody was Wiccan. But now, people are more pagan. They are interested in finding out exactly what it is, what is meaningful to them, because Gardner had the sword and the cup that symbolized fertility, and you had to do it a very specific way. And that doesn't always speak to everyone. I was one time doing a ritual, a pagan ritual, and I was honored by being able to light the candles, right? So I was going around lighting north, south, east, west. And as I started doing that while they were calling the corners, a woman from the circle just started yelling at me, "Winter shins! Winter shins!" And I was like, what is going on? Turns out, if you go the wrong way, it's called winter shins. And that was an experience that I had, and that doesn't deeply speak to me, right? I don't know that the gods of old really care which way you turn in the circle when you're lighting the candles, but I do think that it's really, really important that we take time at different times of the year to connect with nature and open up our spirits. And I know that the Christian way of doing that doesn't work for everybody, or the Jewish way of doing that doesn't work for everybody. I think that there should be ways that we can connect with old religious ideas of honoring the earth. I think that there's ways that we should reconnect our bodies to the turning of the earth. And I think it's good to know that there are liturgies out there for that if you want. I think it's also good to know that some of those liturgies were just plain made up. And you can make up things too. And listen, I don't think it's bad that we made it up. Far be it for any Unitarian Universalist to say that a religion created in the last 100 years isn't legitimate. I don't think it's bad that we made it up, but I think we should know that we did and know that we can change it. What I think is important is that all of us know that there's access to the divine or to the still small voice inside of us or to the earth that is rooted in ritual and community and spirit, that is outside of the things that we've normally been taught in churches and synagogues. And it's good to explore it because it's good to remember that we are agrarian beings. We've spent so much more of our time living and dying by the cycles of the earth than we have capitalism telling us that we had to pick up the pace in December because we had to buy a bunch of stuff. December is a time for rest. The world gets dark, and that's a good thing. We need darkness. The seeds can't germinate in the sunlight, and neither can we. So I want to invite us to know. And I also think that it's really important to know that all of those people, Williams and Cunningham and Murray, they were all reaching for something. They were reaching for something in their own roots and heritage, because I think it speaks to the fact that white supremacist colonialist culture has messed us all up. White supremacist colonialist culture has stolen so much from people of color, and it has also stolen from white people the connection to our heritage and our history and what we might have had. And so reaching back to something that is more than that, that is a direct link to our more natural, primal rituals, I think that that's okay. And I don't think we know what they were, but we know that we celebrated by the sun, and we know that we celebrated by the harvest. And we know that we told stories because some of those stories have come down to us. And so this year at Northwest, we're going to do something. We're going to teach a class based on the Wheel of the Year. It said I was teaching it, but I have a lot of help from scholars who know a lot more than I do. We're going to make a feast every 6 weeks based on the traditional foods of the place where these feasts would have happened. And we know that agriculturally, right? We know what they would have been eating. I'm probably going to use more salt than they did, but we're going to make a feast. And then we're going to sit around with our food, and we're going to tell the stories as we know them, as they have come down to us from those times. And we're going to talk about the rituals that have been done, the Gardnerian rituals and Widdershins and all of it. And then we're going to say, what is relevant for us in this moment? What is relevant for us in this time? How can we connect our spirits back to the land? How can we make use of the knowledge that has come down to us? And then we're going to go do it and do a short ritual. So I invite anybody who wants to. Our first one is going to be on Samhain, otherwise known as Halloween. I know it's not a great time for parents. But the next one we're going to have is Yule. And I really invite everyone who wants to come to partake in this reconnection and storytelling, because we know that our ancestors did that, and we know that we need to connect to them and to the earth. Good luck on the journey, blessed be, and amen. And if you have any questions, come talk to me. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Bob. I got it. So, Bob, it's so good to have you back. I rarely get an amen. You know what I mean? Yes. So, amen. Amen. So, with that, we are going to sing a song, an ode to our community and to our earth. If you will join Rise in Body and our Spirit and join me in singing 1068, Blue Boat Home. 1064. Don't let the dyslexic girl announce the hymns.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from
to sing it one more time, Alex would indulge us after. So I have a confession to make. Thanks, Bob. I've been a little nervous today because like my good friends Karsten and Autumn are here. They're like these amazing human beings that I play board games with and nerd out with in my real life, and this is just not a context I'm used to seeing them in. And I was like, oh man, I know like Autumn goes to church, and now this is like this really pagan witchy service. And it's like so weird. And then I was like, you know what though? It's gonna be weird next time too. We're building an ancestor altar for All Souls Day. Bring an object for your ancestors. And after that, we're gonna celebrate Christmas. And before that, we're gonna celebrate Hanukkah. There are so many different ways that wisdom comes down to us. And what we can't do is pick and choose and decide which cultures that we are going to enact. But what we can do is deeply investigate the places that we come from and who we are and make that who we want to be in the world. So go find the places that make your spirit sing. Nature is available to all of us, and all of us have deep, deep roots. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, monotheism, perfectly reasonable and beautiful traditions to celebrate. And there is more. And what's beautiful about this is we don't have to pick. I did my benediction before I did the chalice extinguishing. So if we could sing together our song. We are going to extinguish our chalice. Please repeat after me. I extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope.
The warmth of community.
The warmth of community.
Or the energy of action.
Or the energy of action.
These we hold in our hearts. Until we are together again. Turn towards each other and just look and see the people that arrived here today. See this beautiful, growing community, supportive. Know you are not alone on the journey. If you need help connecting with something outside that of what you have known, we have countless practitioners of different wisdom traditions here among us. Bring us what you are hungry for, and we will try to answer.
No, I think we're gonna limit it to the specials today.
Yeah.